We are transitioning into a new segment here. 5 teams guaranteed to lose in Week 8 of the NFL. I'll go through all 5, and by the way, I'll reveal the rest of my picks here. So let's get to number 1. Or actually, we'll rank them from 5 to 1. 1 being the most likely to lose, 5 being the least likely to lose. So team number 5, guaranteed to lose this week in the NFL. The Denver Broncos, the fraudiest team in the NFL, maybe outside of the Dolphins and maybe outside of the Falcons, but certainly a fraud team. Why? Trevor Siemian, 32nd among quarterbacks according to Pro Football Focus. Gross. Second reason, offensive line can't pass protect for Trevor Siemian right now. Third reason, that offense doesn't have an identity. They run the football effectively, but then they stop. That's what happened last week against the Los Angeles Chargers, 21-0 loss. The Broncos looked absolutely hapless, pathetic. And now on Monday Night Football, they're going to take on the Kansas City Chiefs, a team that certainly has been skidding. They've lost their last 2. But Andy Reid is pretty darn good coming off of bye weeks in general, and I will consider this a mini bye week because they played on Thursday Night Football last week against the Oakland Raiders. So Andy Reid, a little more time to prepare for these Denver Broncos. It's quite clear what you have to do to beat Denver, guys. I mean, even I can figure it out. You stack 8 in the box, you stop C.J. Anderson, you put your best corner on Demaryius Thomas, and you say, Trevor Siemian, beat us downfield, because he can't do it. He can't. He is not a good quarterback right now. He has shown flashes before, but it's not happening right now. And at the same token, because that offense isn't on the field so much, the Denver's defense is getting gashed. I mean, they're losing it, especially in the third quarter and the fourth quarter, etc., where the run game, the rush defense has not been that good, and Aqib Talib, even Chris Harris Jr., even these guys will have a lapse in concentration because they're simply out of breath. They're catching their breath, snap in and snap out. So for the Denver Broncos, the key for them, obviously, is to control the line of scrimmage and have a higher time of possession on the offensive side. But I just don't think it's going to happen. So team number 5, guaranteed to lose, the Denver Broncos against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs bounce back after 2 straight losses. And the Denver Broncos, by the way, are not going to the playoffs. Sorry, they're not. Team number 4, guaranteed to lose in Week 8, the Los Angeles Chargers. Look, I want to preface this by saying the Chargers are a good team, and I think they actually have a shot to get a wild card. Heck, even may be able to challenge the Chiefs in the AFC West. But I think the Patriots, this is more about the Patriots, they found their stride. That defense looked pretty darn good against, according to Pro Football Focus, the number 1 offense in the league in the Atlanta Falcons. So with that, I mean, it lends me to believe that the Patriots will do pretty darn well against the Chargers this week. Losing Hightower is big. We'll see if it has some sort of, shall we say, Sean Lee effect, where a Hightower is out and that defense looks lost, and there's just holes in the middle for tight ends and running backs. But I will lean on the side of positivity for the New England Patriots fans out there, that I think they're going to do work against the Chargers. I will say that Brady versus Rivers will be fun. We haven't had that rivalry in quite some time. In fact, you may recall 2006s, the 2007s of the world when the Chargers were actually good and they were consistently playing the Patriots. Hasn't been the case recently because the Chargers haven't been very good. But that run defense for Los Angeles is not good at all. And like I said, the Denver Broncos played them last week, ran the ball effectively, just didn't run it enough. So if you continue to run the football on the inside with Mebane there, who has played brutally for the Chargers, go right at them, and I think the Patriots will have a lot of success. Because if you sit back and throw the football 50 times, I think that's when Joey Bosa comes into the fold. I think that's when Melvin Ingram comes after the quarterback. Patriots tackles are all right, but these are elite edge rushers right now in Bosa, Melvin Ingram, according to Pro Football Focus. So I think if the Patriots run the football, which they will if they're smart, and I know they are, that means deadly play action down the field. Actually, the Chargers have pretty good corners, but when you're running the football well, sometimes that doesn't really matter in the secondary. So Chargers, number 4 team, guaranteed to lose. How about number 3? The Houston Texans coming off a bye. I don't think Deshaun Watson is ready for this. I do think he is ready for prime time. We've seen that. He's performed well. But is the team overall ready for the 12th man? And Seattle, not so sure. And I'm pretty sure that Deshaun Watson is going to struggle. I think that offensive line will have trouble in pass protection. That Seattle front seven is as good as it gets. Bobby Wagner is having an elite season at the linebacker position. And the Seahawks run defense overall is just great. And I think they're going to stifle Lamar Miller. And look, it's going to come down to Deshaun Watson. Can he beat Richard Sherman, et cetera, down the field with the Texans wide receivers? Not so sure. And look, Houston's secondary has played pretty well. Well, I should say one name has. Jonathan Joseph has had a great year at corner. But outside of Jonathan, hasn't been very good for Houston's secondary. So Russell Wilson, I think, is going to look elsewhere away from Jonathan Joseph, who lines up on the outside. Going to be a lot of Doug Baldwin, all you DFS players out there, because he goes in the slot, and the Texans have one of the worst slot corners in the league, according to Pro Football Focus. So it could be a big Doug Baldwin game, and I think the Houston Texans are going to struggle in this one. Even coming off the bye, they're fresh, all that. I think the Seahawks are finally finding their stride. Here's the deal with the Seahawks. They're like Green Day, okay? Wake me up when September ends, because they struggle in September, and then once October hits, late October especially, November, cold weather begins, that's when Seattle becomes that playoff team, that Super Bowl team. And by the way, maybe after this game, they go out and grab Jeremy Hill. Just saying, just saying. So Texas, number 3 team, guaranteed to lose in the NFL. Number 2 team, guaranteed to lose. The Chicago Bears taking on the New Orleans Saints. Can Trubisky throw the ball more than 6 times, 7 times? Can he complete the ball more than twice, more than 3 times? I don't know. And I don't think the Bears have enough weapons on the outside. If the Bears actually do win this game, which, again, it's not. I'm guaranteeing they're losing. Or, excuse me, if the Bears win this game, they're going to have to get some sort of fluke play going, or the special teams makes a big-time play. Defense, maybe Eddie Jackson scores twice again. It's got to be something like that where Drew Brees just doesn't show up and the Bears defense makes a couple turnovers, scores a couple touchdowns, and there you go. But that's not a winning formula week in and week out. And I don't think that's going to happen this week in the Dome. I think the Bears will lose the time of possession battle against the Saints. The Saints have been running the football fantastically lately with Mark Ingram. All of a sudden, after Adrian Peterson and that circus that went on with Sean Payton, they've been running the football pretty well. So I think the Saints are going to have their way with the Chicago Bears this week. Speaking of fantasy, by the way, and DFS at that, take a look at the Saints defense. Pretty cheap in DraftKings, and I think it makes some sense against Mitch Trubisky and a cast of misfits on the outside at the wide receiver positions for Chicago. So one final point about the Saints, Cam Jordan is balling out for this team, having a fantastic year. And I think he's going to get after Trubisky. I think Trubisky's going to be under pressure a lot in this game. And the Chicago Bears, guaranteed to lose in this one. By the way, hot seat conversation here about John Fox, perhaps. I don't think he's going to get fired after this game if they lose because of the turnover from Glennon to Trubisky. But something to keep in mind with John Fox going forward. He could be a victim of Black Monday after the NFL season is over. But that's neither here nor there. We're talking about teams guaranteed to lose, and here is number 1. The San Francisco 49ers battling the Philadelphia Eagles in, according to our Chat Sports consensus poll rankings, has the Eagles at number 1 in the NFL. C.J. Beathard has been struggling. That should be expected out of a young quarterback. The Eagles' front 7 has just been fantastic, especially that front line. Brandon Graham has had a great year so far, an elite grade according to Pro Football Focus. Fletcher Cox, a high-quality grade according to PFF. Then you got Timmy Jernigan. Vinny Curry has played well as well. And that 49ers offensive line probably can't neutralize that pass rush. And the 49ers front 7 on the other side, outside of DeForest Buckner, who's had a great year, by the way. Great year. But outside of him, it's not good. And I think Philadelphia will be able to run the football pretty well in this one. Carson Wentz is absolutely balling out. And that may be the difference in this one. So there you go. San Francisco 49ers, the number 1 team guaranteed to lose in the NFL this week. We do have a couple questions here. Who was number 3? Number 3 was the Houston Texans. So I believe that was Damian asking there. So yeah, the Houston Texans, number 3 team, guaranteed to lose this week against the Seattle Seahawks. We'll revisit this segment Next Friday, folks, I'll let you know what my record was. I won't be lying. Don't you think I will? So we'll revisit. Let's see if I go 5-0. I have a feeling I will. I'm thinking a clean sweep here, folks. So